Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Will Charlton, and welcome to another edition of Noteworthy in the NCAA, a weekly podcast on the latest happenings in the college sports landscape, brought to you by the ETV network here on Playback. Happy to have you joining us on this Monday afternoon or early evening, wherever you may be watching from. Speaking of Monday afternoon, happy Labor Day to all of you. Week one is not done just yet, and we still have one more game to be played in week one for this college football season. That's North Carolina, the Bill Belichick era starting tonight against TCU at home. That game will be on ESPN. You can tune into that at 8 Eastern. That'll be coming up a little later tonight, but we'll preview that game a little bit later on in the show here, and we're going to start out with more of a general layout on some of the big topics that occurred this past weekend. And I think the big one that we really got to talk about right away is Arch Manning getting a little too much love from the media on being the Heisman frontrunner. I will say this, even though he didn't play great, Ohio State beat Texas 14-7, and Arch Manning had a very lackluster stat line. I'll screen share the box score with you guys so you can see what I'm talking about here. So as you see, I mean, Arch Manning was 17 for 30 with only 170 yards, one touchdown, one reception, and the touchdown came in the fourth quarter, as you can see up there. It's just, this is the first time that he's been pinned up against an elite caliber defense, because obviously Quinn Ewers was the guy who led Texas last year and led them to that semifinal appearance against Ohio State. I mean, to be honest, Texas was very close to not even making it to the semifinals. Arizona State basically had that game won, and they didn't end up winning it. But I think that I don't think you can make too many conclusions on Arch Manning's performance in just this week alone, because Ohio State still has an elite defense. Like I said, this is the first time that Arch Manning's really seen a defense of this caliber. He didn't play in any of the really, really big games last year when Ewers was out with injury. I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Louisiana Monroe. He might have played against and just lit them up or something like that. But there was something that, and I can't remember what exactly the stat was, but it was the first time since like the early 2010s where a Texas quarterback was not on target in over 30% of his passes. And that is a very telling sign that I think Texas rode a little too high into this game, being the number one overall team. They just did not come ready to play. And it's not, I'm not saying the defense didn't do a good job. They did do a solid job against Ohio State, but I think just when you generally look at this game as a whole, I don't think Texas came in ready to go. I just really don't. And that's saying a lot about Sarkisian as a coach. His play calling was not that good in this game, especially in goal-to-go situations. So I think if anything, I'm not worried about this Texas team. I'm really not. I think that we're covered just fine. I still do have a lot of faith in Arch Manning. I don't think he's the Heisman front runner anymore by any means. I think that might have been a little too much of a big narrative just because his last name is Manning. So I am very curious to see how Arch Manning does bounce back from a performance like this. Obviously, a fantastic win for Ohio State. They were favored. They covered the spread of 1.5 points. I picked Texas to win the game. If you watched Forever Power 5 last week. And I can't say I'm crazy surprised by the result, but just generally speaking, I think this says more about that Ohio State is going to be just fine with Julian Sain as quarterback, because he made pretty solid decisions the entire game. I mean, 13 for 20, 126 and a touchdown. Not a bad stat line in your first ever game as a starter against another defense that is one of, if not the best in the country in Texas. So this was a clash of two very, very good defenses. I don't think you can really take away too many conclusions from this game, considering it's a week one contest. Neither of these teams, I mean, both these teams are more than likely going to be in the 12-team field come the end of the year. And I could very well see a potential rematch again between these two teams come December or January. So generally speaking, I don't think we need to write off Arch Manning as this really average bad quarterback just yet, just because of his performance against a really, really good Ohio State defense. I do think we might need to put a halt on him saying he's the Heisman front runner, just because a game like this does prove that he is very unproven yet, and that he still has a lot to learn about the college game. So I do think we need to put a halt on Arch Manning being just basically just handed the Heisman Trophy at the start of the season. But Jeremiah Smith for Ohio State, who was also right up there, didn't really do a whole lot either. Also had some drops in the game as well. So yeah, but again, a big win for Ohio State. I do think that they're gonna. I do think both teams are gonna be just fine moving forward, though. Another big storyline is Alabama in some big trouble right now? Is Caleb DeBoer on the hot seat already? Thomas Castellanos, the new quarterback for Florida State, earlier this summer made a comment saying that they don't have Nick Saban to save Alabama anymore. I don't think Alabama's going to be able to stop me. And they were not able to. Thomas Castellanos played a great game. He played a fantastic game in his first ever start for Florida State. And it was against an Alabama team that it did not look like the same team at all. I mean, Florida State beat them 31-17, and Alabama was a 2-touchdown favorite. I mean, just looking at Thomas Castellanos' stat line here, he was 9 for 4. He didn't really pass the ball that much because he didn't have to, but he had 152 yards on 14 attempts. He completed 9 of them. Where he got the job done, though, was on the ground. 16 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown. Castellanos was really, really messing up Alabama's defense. And I'm shocked. I mean, like, I seriously thought that Alabama was going to be just fine in this game. Florida State might be right back in contention to be right up there for the ACC championship this year, because I don't know if I'm overreacting to that. I think there is a lot of overreaction saying Florida State's back. I don't know if I would say that yet. But I do think that Florida State is going to be 10 times better than they were this year, than last year. I mean, again, it's really hard to be worse than 2-10 back to back in the next season. And this is just a fantastic start for Florida State. Alabama might be in trouble, because this is just not what you want to see out of this team. And obviously, Alabama comes in with this year with Ryan Williams, one of the best receivers in the game. He didn't do anything. Five receptions for 30 yards. That's it. And his long was 11 yards. I'm telling you, Alabama's got to really look in the mirror and figure something out quick before they get into this SEC play. Because if they don't figure something out fast, I mean, shoot, I'm not going to say that they're going to lose either the next 2 games against UL Monroe or Wisconsin. But Wisconsin's still a power conference opponent. You can't take them lightly. Now, obviously, Wisconsin does have some question marks with Billy Edwards Jr. if he's going to be able to play or not after he got injured in the opener against Miami of Ohio. But Alabama's got to rebound quickly here, because you have 2 more non-conference games to right the ship a little bit. And thankfully, you're getting a Wisconsin team that's not going to be that good this year before you get into SEC play. But man, if you're Alabama, you're a little worried right now. You're a little worried right now, and I did not see them losing this game at all. I'm quite surprised. It's not like Ty Simpson. He didn't play great. He was 23 of 43 for 254 yards and a couple touchdowns. No interceptions though, but he still threw 20 incompletions, and he only had a QBR of 48.6, whereas Castellanos 83.6 QBR. So I think if you're going to draw conclusions from this game, you're looking at Alabama's in trouble. They got to right the ship quickly. They're not going to go away without a fight, obviously, but they got to figure something out quickly. And Florida State, watch out ACC. I think I'm willing to say that already. I think I am, because this Florida State team is going to be competitive this year, and they might even crack the AP Top 25 when it comes out tomorrow morning. So, and lastly, the last thing we'll do here on the program for today is do a little preview of tonight's game between North Carolina and TCU. TCU is favored by 3.5 points on the road Um, I do think that, and this is the opener for Bill Belichick as the head coach of North Carolina. I don't really get the hire. I've never understood why North Carolina hired Bill Belichick, a lifelong professional coach who's now just going to translate over to the college game. Granted, it's a different landscape of college football nowadays where you can honestly coach it like a professional team because of all the money that's involved. But yeah, I think that just looking at this game, I think TCU is the team that has less question marks. I don't know if they're going to cover the 3.5. I do think it will be a high scoring game though, because both offenses are poised to have nice years, and obviously a Big 12 team like TCU, not known for their defense. Neither is North Carolina. So I look at that 54.5. And if I was a gambling man, I think I would go over here. Um, and I don't know how I feel about the spread. Um, but if I had to pick one to win outright, I do think that you know what? North Carolina at home. I think Bill Belichick's going to start off his tenure with a win here. I think that they're going to win this game at home. It's going to be a sold out crowd in Chapel Hill at Kenan Stadium. I think North Carolina's going to get a win here. I do. I think North Carolina's going to win this one outright. The game's going to go over. So obviously, North Carolina's got to watch out for Josh Hoover. He's a pretty solid quarterback for TCU, but both these teams, you don't really know what to expect from either of them this year. But I'm going to say North Carolina wins this one. I think Bill Belichick gets going on the right note as the head coach of North Carolina. So we will see what happens. But and um, last thing here before we stop the program for today, coming up at 6 p.m. Eastern, the ice is calling. If you live and breathe hockey, then you found your home. Puck Talk brings you all the latest from the NHL and the entire world of hockey. We're talking goal scorers, spectacular saves, and the playoff races that have you on the edge of your seat. From the regular season to the Stanley Cup final, we're all in. Tune in to Puck Talk every Monday, only on ETV, and that once again is coming up on 6 Eastern here on playback. So pretty soon here, only in a little over an hour, or a little under an hour, I should say. But with that in mind, make sure you tune into the next episode of Forever Power 5 as well, where we will break down all of week one and preview some of week two and go over the new AP poll as well. But for now, thanks for watching.